When stars come out and skies turn deep, it's time for hearts to softly keep the love of God, both big and small, to share with others, one and all. Be kind to friends, both near and far. God sees your heart just where you are. A smile, a hurt, a hug, a gentle word can spread His love through all the world. Your God loves hearts that shine, not stun. Show tenderness, that's all, not stun. The quiet ones who help, not stun. Show tenderness that shine, not there. When someone stumbles, who help with care.
The Pillar of Salt.
In ancient times, in the fertile Jordan Valley, lay the prosperous cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Though abundant in resources, their inhabitants had become arrogant and morally corrupt, their wickedness crying out to the heavens. Among them lived a righteous man named Lot, nephew of Abraham, who was distressed by the depravity he witnessed daily. Lot, a man in his late 50s with a kind, weathered face, a neatly trimmed grey beard, and short, dark hair, wore simple robes of earthy tones, brown, beige, with leather sandals, and often carried a shepherd's staff. His wife, a woman in her late 50s, with a weary but dignified face, long, dark hair tied back in a simple braid, and dark, watchful eyes, wore modest, flowing tunics in shades of deep blue and earthy green, with simple leather sandals and a head covering, and occasionally a small silver bracelet. She was devoted to her family, but had grown accustomed to the comforts and even the ways of Sodom. One evening, two angels, appearing as men, arrived in Sodom. Lot, ever hospitable, welcomed them into his home, unaware of their true identity and divine mission. That night, the men of the city surrounded Lot's house, demanding that he surrender his guests to them. Lot, trying to protect the angels, bravely stood against the angry mob, offering even his own daughters to save his guests. The angels intervened, striking the mob with blindness and pulling Lot and his family back inside. They then revealed their purpose. God was about to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah because of their great sin. They commanded Lot, his wife, and his two daughters to flee the city immediately. "Escape for your life," they urged. "Do not look back, nor stop anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be swept away." Lot, a man in his late 50s with a kind, weathered face, a neatly trimmed grey beard, and short, dark hair, wore simple robes of earthy tones, brown, beige, with leather sandals, and often carried a shepherd's staff. His wife, a woman in her late 50s with a weary but dignified face, long, dark hair tied back in a simple braid, and dark, watchful eyes, wore modest, flowing tunics in shades of deep blue and earthy green, with simple leather sandals and a head covering, and occasionally a small silver bracelet. His two daughters, who are young women in their early 20s, with long braided dark hair, wearing similar simple, flowing tunics and head coverings, walked beside him. The morning broke with a sense of urgency. Lot and his family, with the angel's persistent urging, finally left the doomed city, just as the sun began to rise. The air was thick with foreboding. As they hurried across the plain, a terrifying storm began to rage. Fire and brimstone rained down from the heavens upon Sodom and Gomorrah, consuming everything in their path. The ground trembled, and the sky glowed with an ominous, fiery light. Lot's wife, unable to resist the pull of her former home, and the life she was leaving behind, paused. Despite the clear divine warning, a wave of longing and regret swept over her. She turned her head, just for a moment, to glance back at the burning cities. In that instant, she was transformed. Her flesh became solid, crystallizing into a pillar of salt. Lot and his daughters, shocked and grieved, continued their escape to the mountains, their hearts heavy with sorrow and fear. They had obeyed the command, but at a terrible personal cost. The pillar of salt stood as a stark monument, a silent, chilling reminder of the consequences of disobedience, and looking back at what God has commanded us to leave behind. It served as a powerful testament to the destructive power of lingering attachments to sin and the worldly pleasures that oppose God's will. Their journey continued, forever marked by this tragic event. The moral of Lot's wife's story is clear. When God commands us to turn away from sin and worldly attachments, we must do so wholeheartedly. Looking back, even with a flicker of longing, can lead to spiritual stagnation or even judgment. We are called to set our gaze forward, towards God's path, and trust in His divine plan for our lives. The story reminds us that obedience is not just about physical actions, but also about the orientation of our hearts. We must relinquish our grip on the past and fully embrace the new life God offers, free from the influences that draw us away from Him.